Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to the Curious You podcast. I hope you're enjoying the little things in life while going towards your biggest dreams. The last month for me has been a roller coaster completely. As you may know, I've hosted a masterclass that I've been wanting to host for the longest time, the recording of which is actually available on the Curious You podcast. But I've also attended an event where I spoke on a panel with three other very inspiring women this Saturday, and it was a one of a kind experience. You see, I'm entering a phase in my life where everything that I've been working towards in the past year is starting to come together. I'm starting to see things come to life in the 3D physical world. And the moment where all of your biggest wishes start coming true is a moment that I wish for each and every one of you listening to this podcast. Which leads me to a very special topic that I wanted to talk to you about today. And it boils down to mastering everything that we learn. You see, in the past few months, I've had a lot of conversations with very different people who have asked me, how did I decide to record my own podcast? And whenever I get this question, I go back to the month of April when I decided to record or to actually create the Curious You. And all I can remember is just having this wish to do it. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I didn't know if I would be able to sustain a weekly podcast episode. And I even remember thinking maybe I can do monthly podcast episodes. That would be easier. But I knew that I just had to challenge myself and I knew I had to go for doing weekly episodes. And in the end, that was the best decision I ever made. If you ask me about the top three decisions I made in my life, podcasting is definitely one of them. Podcasting is so much more than just podcasting. Of course, it's a way to communicate to the world, it's a way to leave something to this world that only you can share. It's a way to create your own community, but it's also a way to clarify your own story. You see, when I was showing up on this podcast, I was doing so much more than conveying my experience, knowledge, everything I've learned, and putting it into words. I was also clarifying my own life, my own story to myself, my own vehicle. How did I get from point A to point B? What did I need to become in order to be able to drive that car? The other day, I was reading a book and I found a quote that actually put into words all my emotions towards having my own podcast. There's a quote that goes like this: if you want to master something, teach it. It's actually attributed to Yogi Bhajan, a spiritual teacher known for bringing Kundalini yoga to the West. But the beautiful part and the point of saying this is that when you teach something, you hear yourself clearly for the first time. Suddenly, your story, your values, your message, they start, I would say, standing on their own 2 feet. Because your story and whatever you bring to this world, it needs to make sense not just to you, but to someone listening, someone who trusts you with their time. And the process of creating that mutual exchange of energy, it completely changes you. Because every time I sat down to record an episode, I wasn't just speaking to someone out there. I was speaking actually through myself, sharpening, refining, and understanding at the end of the day what's actually true for me. I realized that podcasting was the missing puzzle I needed to understand myself at a deeper level because it made me articulate what I believe in and it made me find words for things I had only felt up until this year. It also made me reconnect with parts of myself that I had ignored for years and years. And each episode that I recorded, it became a lesson, not just for you on the other side, but also for myself. It became my teacher, my compass, my accountability partner, call it what you want. But I really felt the difference in myself when I would record a podcast and during the week when I didn't, which was in September, when I was between season 1 and season 2, And there were 2 weeks that I took a break and I truly missed it. I truly missed sitting on this chair, taking this mic, and speaking from my heart. The more I spoke, the more I actually mastered my own story. The more I understood myself, and the more I shared, the more I owned my story. That is the actual magic. When you teach what you're learning, you grow twice. You grow as the student and you grow as the guide. And that is one of the most magical experiences I've ever embarked on. I've been telling everyone how podcasting changed my life, but it wasn't until I saw this sentence in a book that I was reading where I realized this is it. This is the way I mastered my own story. This is the way I sharpened my own vision. And this is the way that I will build a very strong foundation for everything else that is to come in my life. The importance of understanding our own story is, I think, most of the time misunderstood. If you look at the biggest people in today's world, and when I say biggest, I don't just mean the most successful or the people who have succeeded in business or in a certain sector. When I say biggest people, I truly mean people who have been able to embody different types of successes. For me, it means being a person who lives their highest potential, being a person who embodies all the necessary mind mind skill, all the necessary mindset, self-growth skills one needs in order to live a happy life outside of what you're doing in your career or in your business. And for me, when I think of a successful person, it's a person who's able to keep both worlds in check. We all know there are so many people out there who are successful in business or in their personal life, but they're not in both. So when I say successful, for me, it's really someone who's able to keep all those things afloat and to enjoy real life in the background. And that is something towards which I am going to every single day of my life. So when we look at all of those people, all of them have a story. All of them know where they come from, who they were as children, what they needed as children, who their role models were, how they felt when they were happy. And just like a movie, there's a phase where things start to fall apart, right? Where something happens in their lives that changes the course of their lives forever. So there's that middle part. And then there's the part of their story when things are just getting started, when things turned around and when they realized, hey, I can live a life that's much more than this. So their vehicle takes them from that point A to that rumbling where everything starts to fall apart visually. But as we all know, when things fall apart, it's just the beginning of another thing that's starting to form. And then there's the ending or the beginning of a new story. And when they do business, when they do anything, this story follows them through all the different seasons of their life. But in order to really sharpen that story, to know who you are, it's not enough to sit down and write it on a piece of paper and think, this is it. I know my story right now. Because let me tell you something. The more you repeat your story, the more you speak it out loud, the clearer and simpler it is for you. I'll give you an example from my life. So I've started this podcast in April of this year where I started talking about my story, where I started opening up about everything I've been through, about the good parts, about the challenging parts, and about everything that I went through on my journey that has shaped me into who I am today. And to be honest with you, 6 months ago, I thought that I knew my story really well. When I look back at it now, I realized that I was still a beginner, a very big beginner in understanding my own story. And I'm pretty sure in a year or two, I will still think and feel that way about the Nina from December 2025. But considering I'm in December 2025, I would say that this year has really allowed me to sharpen my vision, to understand my story, and more than anything else, this is a very important part, is to simplify my own story. This whole year taught me that simplicity is everything. That one of my main missions in life is to simplify things. Because simplifying your own story, your own mission in this world, allows you to zone out on anything that doesn't serve you and to zone in to what serves you and to what you really want to do in life. As I was saying in the beginning, I went to this event on Saturday where spoke in front of 40 plus women, and something came out that I didn't even know where it came from. But later on, I knew it was from the podcast and from all the talking I've been doing this whole year. But we were talking about finding your purpose in life, where I understood that having a purpose in life is not something that you need to find, it's something who you already are. And the next sentence I said was that my mission in life was to bring people together from different cultures, from different regions of the world, and to unite them under the same vision. Boom. It was an incredible thing that I said. And when I said it, I heard myself and I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is your mission. This is absolutely your mission because this is something that I loved doing when I was a child. I remember when I was in elementary school, I lived in my hometown after India for 3 years. And back in the days in my small hometown called Banja Luka, a city in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we had a lot of different neighborhoods, and kids from those neighborhoods were very violent. They were fighting all the time. And I just didn't like living in that kind of atmosphere. So, what I did was to go on and create my own organization. And I'm not saying a school organization because I was a big rebel in school at the time. I wasn't the one to study or sit and read books. I was out. I was out on the streets. I was meeting people, mingling. And that's what I simply loved to do. So, I created an organization where I gathered kids from different regions of the city, from different neighborhoods, and I united them over the same vision, which was to find peace in the city and not to fight, not to argue over things that at the end of the day don't really matter. That was a big thing that followed me for years to come because whenever I was in a conflicting situation, I always wanted to be the mediator and to find the middle. I'm completely aware that we only know 5% of what's really going on out there. So my focus was never to understand the external things, the external factors, but it was always to understand the people who feel a certain way and to try to get them to the middle point, middle ground, where we can share a common vision, a common understanding, and to bring that focus inwards and not to focus on things that we can't really control. I didn't know at the time that all of these things, all of these tools that I've been using are a part of my life's mission. And after 2025, I will for sure even more go into the depths of sharpening this current vision that I have in my life. But all of this was made possible through podcasting. Podcasting really allowed me to journal, I would say, to journal, but with an added pressure of really saying what's in my heart because I've done journaling in the journal for 15 years, I would say. And it's a different concept because once you journal for yourself, you don't have that pressure of performing. You don't have that pressure of saying the right words, of connecting your story. So sometimes you would write things that aren't really connected, if you know what I mean. But when you sit down to record a podcast, your story really has to make sense for the other person listening. And if I were to make it so it makes sense for you who's listening, I really need to tune in to the structure of my story. I really need to tune in to every single small part of it that could influence my life, but that could also help you on the other side change something inside of your life. So I guess the point of what I'm trying to say here today is that if you have something deep down inside of you that you feel you could share with this world, go for it. Go for it because I promise you, when you teach something, you master it. I'm not sure if you read the book of Stephen Bartlett, The Diary of a CEO. Actually, this is in the beginning of the book, that's how he starts the book, where he says that he was recording himself every evening at 8 p.m. for 7 years. For 7 years, he was posting a tweet every evening, recording himself talk, and recording his own podcast, which apparently nobody had listened to the first 3 years, only to be where he is today. And he also says that all of those little experiences where he was teaching what he was learning were the ones that changed his life forever, were the ones that gave him confidence to stand next to Barack Obama and speak at events. And this is such a true story. Maybe I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't tried it myself, but podcasting absolutely changed me. It changed every part of my life. Not only did it help me own my story, it helped me clarify my future, and it helped me know the next steps I'm about to take, because I've built such a strong foundation through podcasting that I now know that everything that I do next in my life will be in accordance with this foundation that I've built. So don't be scared to speak out. Don't be scared to try out new things. And don't be scared of people thinking, who is she to teach all of these things? Those things don't matter, even if somebody thinks it. In a few years, you will be at a completely different place than where you are today. So if you've been thinking about starting your own podcast or writing a book or doing anything that would help you structurize all the information that we have in our head, this is your sign. Go for it. Oftentimes, the best things in life are the ones that feel scary right now. And if you're inserting information inside of your body all the time, I mean, we live in a very loud world, right? There's so much information going on that it's only logical, if you think about energy exchange, it's only logical that we need to somehow extract that information from our bodies and share it with the world. Then the energy circulates and you feel better, you feel lighter. You insert, you extract. That's how it goes. So, this is your sign, if you were looking for one, to start sharing information and start becoming a master of your own life. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so, so much. I will see you next week, same time, same place. Sending you a big, big kiss. Bye.